Hello, hello. What's up, nurses and nurse coaches? Happy Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, wherever you are. Heather here, co-founder of the Nurse Coach Collective. Thank you so much for joining me. Just wanted to hop on here really quick, maybe about 3 to 5 minutes if you stick with me here, and I want to share an insight with you so that you can be very intentional in how you listen to your own inner voice and make sure that it is serving you and not bringing you down or holding you back. So in just a couple of minutes, I want to share an insight that I had with you, and so hopefully we can all use this together and it can serve you so that we all have these inner voices that happen all the time, sometimes 10 or 20 of them going on simultaneously. And as you know, here's the thing about those inner voices. Sometimes they are super empowering and motivating, and other times they are our biggest and our worst critic. And so they have a tendency to slow us down or hold us back. So what I want to share with you is an insight that I had the other day that I think can really be helpful in order to show up a little bit more intentionally, communicate more intentionally with that inner voice so that you can make sure that it's not bringing you down, but really so that you're not bringing yourself down and you're not holding yourself back. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for sticking with me for a couple minutes here. I'll try to keep this as brief as possible, my friends. So something funny happened yesterday, and this is sort of where this whole thing started. I had a couple of things that I really wanted to share and celebrate with this incredible community. So I came on here, I'm trying out some new technology, and I came on here to do a Facebook Live so that I could share with this incredible community. I know some of you caught that. It was about 20 minutes long, and at the end of those 20 minutes, I finally saw all of your comments that were telling me, I can see you and I'm enjoying watching you and I can't hear you. So whatever happened, the volume was just absolutely not working. Maybe my microphone was muted, but you couldn't hear me. So for those of you who are here joining me right now watching, if you could send a quick message, leave a quick comment, and just give me that confidence boost to let me know that yes, in fact, everything is working and you can see me and hear me right now, that would be very much appreciated. Awesome. So I did all of that and I sat down and, I got over those nerves of going live. And then 20 minutes later, I had recorded and uploaded this video only to find that it didn't work, right? That I literally had no volume so nobody could hear. And you just watched me get excitement about all of my celebrations and put on this grand charade with absolutely no volume, which was, kind of embarrassing, but mostly just a great opportunity to laugh at myself and at the situation. Okay, so then I fixed my microphone, I got back in here, I tried again, and now the volume was working, but 20 seconds into this second attempt, Peter runs in and he's like, cut, stop. It's super staticky, it's super jumpy. It just wasn't working. So technology was against me, okay? Spent another couple of minutes brainstorming. I say minutes, but it was quite a good portion of the evening, doing all the tech stuff, troubleshooting, figuring it out, and then finally I got it. It's perfect, everything is working, video is working, microphone's working, everything is streaming. I do a little test run, we're good to go. I'm literally pressing the go live button, and it goes 3, 2, 1, power goes out. And all the lights go off and the internet goes out, and it was just this moment of take a deep breath, laugh at the situation, don't get frustrated, okay? All of those things I'm easier to say now in retrospect than they were actually in the moment yesterday, and take a breather, right? Something is telling me that right now is not the moment to record this bit live, and I'm gonna come back to it tomorrow. So this just silly fiasco of a experience trying to go live yesterday. And so that's a funny story for you all. But that's not my point here, is not to share that story. My point is the insight that I had after that, because immediately after, I went through a little bit of disappointment because I couldn't go live, or a little bit of anger at the technology and the electricity and all of those things. Well, then I started to get settled in, okay, well, it's just not meant to happen today. It'll happen tomorrow. And then I started to tell myself an interesting story. I started to tell myself, well, that's okay. You know, you really didn't need to record this video. You really didn't need to go live because what you had to say wasn't really that important. Or what you really had to say wasn't necessarily worth sharing. And it certainly wasn't worth trying to record and re-record 3, 4, 5 times. Or even if you had recorded it perfectly, not that many people would have watched it, so it doesn't really matter. All of these different stories and voices basically saying the same thing, which is that my original plan and what I originally wanted to share wasn't that valuable. So it was okay that I didn't do it. And even though I was aware that I was telling myself this story, I kept doing it. I was in this cycle and I was believing it as I was telling myself this story. Totally, totally crazy. And then because I was aware of this happening and I had this insight of, this is an interesting cycle of inner voices, inner critics that are coming up for me right now, I started to be aware of it throughout the day, today as well. So for example, this morning, I slept in. I was super tired. I usually get up and go for a run, get outside. I didn't do it. I slept in and I didn't go for a run. And immediately, I started telling myself this story. The little voice in my head comes on. It says, you know what? It's okay. You wouldn't have even run that far anyway, so it's not a big deal. Later on in the afternoon, when I went to the grocery store and I couldn't find that one thing that I was looking for at the grocery store, so I immediately started telling myself, you know what? It's okay. That's not even really what you wanted to make for dinner anyway. Or if you had found that ingredient, whatever you had cooked up probably wasn't even going to be as good as you thought it was going to be in your head anyway. So over and over again, I'm telling myself some version of these very, very similar stories. And when I started to be aware of it, it's absolutely crazy because our minds, they're making up stories like this all the time. You always have some kind of inner voice happening all of the time. And we make up these stories. And in this case, these stories, what do they all have in common? Well, on the one hand, they are voices, stories, a narrative that's protecting me. It's protecting me from feeling hugely disappointed that I wasn't able to go live yesterday. Protecting me from being super hard on myself for not getting out of bed and going running this morning. It's protecting me from not getting incredibly mad, angry about not being able to find what I was looking for at the grocery store. But also, in addition to that protective mechanism of these inner voices, also what that voice did is it allowed me to get totally derailed. It allowed me to experience a barrier, experience a roadblock, and then give in to the barrier because I made up a story about why my original plan didn't matter, about why my original plan was never even that valuable to begin with. And then I kind of forgot about it. And because of that, I didn't keep trying to go live last night. And I never was successful with it. I just gave up on that plan. And because of that, I didn't ever go for that run today. I just never did it. And because of that, I picked up a burrito to have for dinner on the way home instead of cooking at home my own dinner like I wanted to, like I intended to. And when I really see, yes, there was a barrier, but it wasn't the barrier that stopped me. It wasn't the roadblock. It was the narrative that I told myself after I encountered that roadblock. It was just crazy to become aware of all of these little one-line stories that I was telling myself, and that even though I had that awareness, I still listened. I still took that voice very seriously, and I trusted it, and I believed it. So this is a super cool insight for me to come to because it reminds me of something that as a nurse coach, I see happen all of the time with my clients. They have these cool ideas. They have big goals. They have exciting plans. And then the moment that they run into a barrier or an unexpected challenge, and they always do because there's always some unexpected challenge along the way when you're making an idea a reality or working towards a goal or executing a plan, there's always a barrier or a challenge. They sort of back down. They give up. They tell themselves a story that the original goal or the original plan or the original idea probably wasn't good enough anyway. It probably wasn't even that valuable to begin with. Have you ever done that? Like, just think back through even just today, the last 24 hours. Have you had that experience where you have a plan, an idea, a goal, and something doesn't go your way? There's some roadblock, something that stops you, and you immediately start telling yourself this story, and as a result, you almost confirm for yourself, oh, well, it wasn't meant to be. Oh, well, I wasn't going to succeed anyway. Oh, well, it wasn't going to be worth it. It wasn't going to be any good. I wasn't going to be any good. We tell ourselves these stories all the time. This is one of the primary things that as a nurse coach, I get to work on with my clients, and I get to work on with the nurses who are training to become nurse coaches. We are always working on how to become our best, empowered, most motivated selves instead of the selves that are doing what we humans have a tendency to do, which is hold ourselves back. And yet, here I was, all throughout my day, falling into that same trap again and again and again. So anyway, friends, I wanted to share this insight with you because now that I have had this experience and this new awareness, now I'm going to be super, super intentional about doing better. And I already am, right? Because here I am, right back here on the Facebook Live. I am making the thing that couldn't happen yesterday happen today, happen now. So I am already taking action to not listen to those voices and instead make the choice to show up and tell myself a different narrative, which is, yes, I can. Yes, I do have something to say. Yes, it is valuable. Yes, it is going to be helpful for you, just as it was helpful for me today. I'm going to go for a run tomorrow. I'm going to cook my own dinner, come hell or high water, because now I see how I held myself back today and how I rationalized everything with my voices, and I can choose to do differently tomorrow. We can always choose to do differently tomorrow. We can always choose to do differently today. That's the coolest part about all of this, is that it comes back down to, at the very core of everything, remembering that you always have the power to be intentional with the voices and how you communicate with them, but also with the actions that you choose to take as a result. So I'm going to be aware of when I start to tell myself stories so that I can say hi to them and laugh at them and thank them for how they are protecting me and serving me, and then choose intentionally when I want to listen to them and when I don't. And I would absolutely love it if this video could inspire you to do the same thing, to just start listening to those little voices, those rationalizations that you make for yourself, to yourself, with yourself all throughout the day. And you can begin to notice all the time more and more and more when they're not serving you, when they're not propelling you forward, so that instead you can be focusing on those voices or shifting those voices intentionally, because you always do have that power to make sure that you are telling yourself stories that are serving you. It doesn't mean you're always going to be successful. That's the whole thing. There are always going to be barriers and challenges. It just means that when you encounter those barriers and challenges, and when they do set you back or hold you back temporarily, that you don't get caught up in that negative cycle of telling yourself, well, I wasn't going to do it good enough anyway. Or, well, it wasn't going to be worth it, or it wasn't going to be valuable. Because your ideas, your goals, your plans, they are valuable. And you are worth going after them and staying committed and continuing to push through whatever barriers and whatever challenges come up for you. So if this message resonates with you, I would love for you to share that with me. Tell me, have you had this experience? Do you recognize these inner voices as you are going throughout the day? What is your relationship with when you do hear those inner voices and you know they're not serving you? How are you able to communicate with them, or just take a moment to slow down and check in and then reroute? Maybe share an experience of where you literally caught yourself going through exactly what I've just explained today or sometime in the last couple of days. Because I think it's super helpful to share examples, explicit moments of when this happened, so that we can learn from each other and realize, oh, you know what? I actually had a very similar experience. I just didn't even know that that was what was happening for me. So if this resonates, if this has been helpful for you, please drop a comment. Let me know. I would love, love, love to hear from you so that we can all continue to learn and grow together. That is what this incredible nurse coaching community exists for. So thank you for being here with me. Thank you for leaning in with me. And thanks for watching. I will talk to you very soon. Have a great evening.